This story comes from a place that's even colder than Bridgewater. You go up north, and you come to this island called Iceland. It must be cold. Once, there was a farmer and a wife, and they had a little boy, and they had a cow, who they called Bukolla. And Bukolla had long horns and a shaggy coat. And one day, the farmer's wife tended to Bukolla as she gave birth to a calf. And the farmer's wife looked after the cow and the calf, and then went inside to the farmhouse. When she returned to tend to Bukolla and the calf again, the calf was still there, but Bukolla, the cow, had gone. Bukolla, where are you? She ran into the house and told her husband. Her husband turned to their son. Our boy, you must find Bukolla, and do not return home without her. Here, put on these shoes. And for the first time, the boy wore shoes, and they were good, strong shoes. And for the first time, he left his home. And he left the home and walked away across the plains, the grassy plains of Iceland. He walked, and he walked, and he walked. And after a long time, he called, Bukolla, if you can hear me, moo! Far in the distance, very, very quiet, he heard, did I hear that? Perhaps I did, carried on the wind. And the boy set off walking in that direction. A long time he walked. Now he was getting tired. He came to icy wastes. His feet would have slipped if his shoes hadn't been so strong and good. He stopped and he called, Bukolla, if you can hear me, moo! A little louder than before, he heard the cow, and on he walked in that direction. He came over mountains, and the way was hard, and down the other side, until finally he came to the shore. There were great cliffs, towering cliffs, and he stood at the top looking down, and the waves were breaking cold on the cliff face. Where was she? Bukolla, if you can hear me, moo! There it was, louder than before. It came from down there below. He looked and there was no sign. He turned and began to climb down the cliff from crag to crag, his good new shoes giving him grip against the slippery cliff face. He came down lower and lower. The salt spray of the icy ocean crashed over his body, but he did not give up. He came at the bottom to an entrance to a great and mysterious dark cave. Into the cave he stepped. And there in the dimness was Bukolla. She was shaggy with her long horns, but she was tethered, tied to a stake. Oh, Bukolla! And then he noticed another sound in that cave. The sound of a terrible, deep, loud snoring. Monstrous it was. He went into the cave and saw a huge and foul giantess. She was so ugly, hairy, and misformed. But at least she didn't wake up. He untied Bukolla and said, hurry, Bukolla, hurry, we must escape. And he took her to the mouth of the cave, and with 3 quick leaps they were to the top of the cliff, and away back towards his home, while he hurried on, bringing Bukolla the cow with him. But what was this? Stop. 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 With huge strides, the giantess was following them, and she cried out, "Bring me back the cow!" She was so fast and huge that the boy was being caught up with. What are we to do, Bukolla? Strange. The first time ever, Bukolla spoke. Take a hair from my tail, pluck it and fling. He did as she bid, and Bukolla did move. A song of a rushing river I sing, that none may pass over, but a bird on the wing. And between them and the ogress there appeared a mighty river, rushing, spinning forth. So wide and deep was that river that the giantess could not cross. And on the boy and Bukolla they hurried, but behind them he heard, "Fetch my big black bull." And a servant, a small giant, came running forward, pulling a big black bull by the nose ring. And the bull, huge and mighty, put its mouth to the river and began to drink. Help me. And all of the water from the river was swallowed by the big black bull, until all the water was gone, not even a trickle. And the giantess stomped over the river that was now dry and came after the boy and Bukolla the cow. Stop! 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 Bring me back the cow! She cried. Closer and closer she came. Oh, her strides were huge, and although the boy hurried, she was nearly upon them. What are we to do, Bukolla? And again the cow sang. Take a hair from my tail, pluck it and fling. He did as she bid, and Bukolla did move. The song of a blazing fire I sing, that none may pass over, but a bird on the wing. And suddenly between them and the giantess was a huge and roaring fire. The flames leapt towards the sky. So high was burning that the giantess could not cross. And the boy hurried on with Bukolla, and behind him he could hear her shout, "Bring me my big black bull." Well, the little giant came running forward with the big black bull, and the big black bull came to the roaring flames and opened its mouth, and out spurted the water that the big black bull had drunk from the river, spraying the flames until the flames were quenched, doused down, and were out. The terrible giantess with huge strides came after them. "Stop! Stop! Stop! Bring me back my cow!" On she came, so huge and mighty, with these long strides. She came ever closer, and the boy now ahead beyond the icy waste, could see his home, that farm where his mother and father would be. He hurried on, but now the giantess so close behind, he could smell her foul breath. What are we to do, Bukolla? And you know what the cow sang? Take a hair from my tail, pluck it and fling. He did as she bid, and Bukolla did move. The song of a mighty mountain I sing, that none may pass over but a bird on the wing. And suddenly, between him and the cow and the giantess behind, there rose huge and mighty a great mountain of stone. And on he hurried with Bukolla the cow, but from behind they could hear the voice of the giantess. Bring me my drill. The little giant ran forward with the giantess's drill, and she began to bore a hole through the mountain of stone. So fast and hard she turned that drill, and the hole came right through the mountain to the other side. And the ogress put her face to the hole, and she could see there was the boy and Bukolla the cow, and they had nearly reached the farmhouse. Oh, and in her rage, the giantess pulled herself into that hole and squeezed through the hole in the middle of the mountain, dragging herself forward. But when she got halfway, why, the ogress was too great, and the hole was too narrow, and she was stuck fast. Neither advancing could she go, nor retreating backwards. She remained there, yelling and crying out and roaring in the mountain, a bit like the noise you're going to make now. Until there in the mountain, that giantess turned to stone. And there she remains. And the boy and Bukolla the cow, they reached home. Oh, and his mother and his father, they brought him into the house. You are no longer a boy, you are a fine young man, our son. Look what you have done. And Bukolla the cow went and found her calf. And the calf drank its mother's milk. And that story, Bukolla, comes from Iceland. Oh, you're so lucky here at Westover Green. A week of celebrating traditional stories. Those are my favourite kinds of stories. I tell stories from all over the world, and I've told you two of my favourites this morning. One from England, one from Iceland. I